What's up, YouTube? Royal Ascot time, Mad Merrigan here. Right, looking forward to it. Value hunting this week. Not like all the other bum tipsters tipping up 3 in a race and 1 in every race and 10 tips a day. Value hunting. Anyone following the Patreon service who got best odds guaranteed is up around 600 points profit in the 4 months I've been back. So we will have a few cracking bets for Royal Ascot this week. Don't mind all these other guys tipping in every race. They're degenerate €2 punters. Follow the madman, and this week we will crush them. Right, I just want to touch on the Queen Anne for a minute. I wanted to just go through 1 or 2 horses. It's a very interesting race, right? So the Queen Anne's going to kick it off. A proper race, a Group 1, a mile on the straight course. And we have Brazilian, who's gone favourite. Now look, on last year's form, Brazilian looked the best of the 3-year-olds. However, some of these other horses have improved. Dancing Gemini was trying trips that didn't suit. He looks good at a mile now. Lead Artist showed improved form the last day to beat Dancing Gemini closely. Notable Speech is an interesting horse for sure. However, he does have to improve on his Ascot run last year. That was horrendous. But that wasn't his true running, and he is a better horse than that. And he did run okay on his first start back. Sardinian Warrior is definitely an interesting horse. He beat a solid horse in Docklands, so lightly raced, and he was green that day at Ascot. However, they then went to France, ran him on soft ground, and I thought they got their tactics arseways in France. They had their favourite that day is a really nice French horse who probably run in the Arc, and he was down in trip, and his best attributes were stamina. However, John Gosden thought, well, they kicked on too early on this horse. They actually dragged the stamina into the race, and he got ran over. But he's definitely a talented horse. Carl Sparkler is an interesting horse because he's been bossing races in America. Now, the turf form in America is never as strong, but this lad couldn't be doing it any easier. He's been winning well and putting daylight between himself and horses, quickening up and still being, well clear at the line. So he's definitely an interesting horse. However, you would think the competition in this race is stronger than that, and he's facing out there. Diego Velasquez, you have to respect Aidan O'Brien throwing this horse in as, I think it's his only runner too. Now, I don't see Aidan O'Brien throwing him in just to have a runner in the race. I do think the horse probably just had a setback or two, but is ready to run. I just don't see him throwing him in, and he is by Frankel. So, does he have to improve on all form? Of course he does, but he is lightly raced, and he has form at a mile the last day. So look, it is what it is. I don't know. It'll be hard enough for him to win off the back of a layoff with a lot of good horses coming in with a prep run. But anyway, it's Aidan O'Brien. He could have him cherry ripe. Lake Forest, I don't think a stiff mile. I don't think he wants that. Docklands is a solid horse at Ascot and always has been, can run well. Quadar won the last day. But look, there's another horse, a big outsider as well. I think Alice Haynes trains it. Yeah, the Sousa rides a horse as well. But look, if you Dancing Gemini is definitely a solid horse. Now, we all know Brazilian was a brilliant horse, or Brazilian was a brilliant horse last year. However, he has to improve on the comeback run. Now, can he? Of course he can. So take your pick. It is a tough race. Like, you can go through them all and you can level them up. There's not a lot between them, When you look at, lead artist, right? Dancing Gemini and even Brazilian or Brazilian, there's very little between them, like, on ratings. So, I don't know. It's interesting. Carl Sparkler is interesting. I see they go for James MacDonald on that horse. Diego Velasquez. It's just one of those races. Look, I still think Dancing Gemini is going to run a solid race, but you have to feel, out of the first time outers in the Lockage, you have to feel like Notable Speech or Brazilian. You have to feel one of them will at least step up on their runs. Now, the thing is, I don't believe they went there underprepared for a Lockage. I just don't. I think they were ready. They ran the races and they weren't good enough on the day. That's what I feel. So it's an interesting race. I think Sardinian Warrior is... If Sardinian Warrior hadn't went to France, I would have really fancied him. When he beat Docklands, if they had just put him away till this race, trained him to the minute, I really would have fancied this horse. However, he did go to France, and then he ran, and he had on not soft ground, but on there was a bit of cut in the ground. He had a hard enough race. Now he was beaten by a good horse, and maybe he has the constitution to come back. But when he won in Ascot in the end of April, I thought if they had come here, you'd have really fancied him. But however, they went to France, and they gave him a hard race for no reason. They drew stamina out of the favourite that would have suited him that day. Anyway, if you want all my best bets in Royal Ascot, check out the Cold Bear Sports Patreon service.